Think of as medicine. Lately, I've been thinking about mate as medicine. It is medicine. When I give it to people, I think of, hey man, I'm administering medicine. I'm giving somebody something that's going to help them in some way, somehow, whether it be physiological, psychological, perhaps even spiritual. So when you drink mate, you're drinking medicine as well. When you share mate, you're administering medicine as well, sort of in a shamanistic sense, even. I was Daniel Marary, who started publishing that Matean exists several years ago, perhaps several decades ago. I don't know the exact date. This might have been in the 80s, actually. And he was getting a lot of his information, so he says, from a doctor, I think his name is Jose Martin, who I believe was working at Paraguay at the time. And he was citing this scientist saying, yeah, this scientist says that it exists. But later on, this Dr. Martin was contacted by several sources to ask and to confirm if Matean exists. And he said, no, absolutely not. Caffeine does not have a stereo center. Now, I'm not a chemist. Cocktail, which I've spoken about for the past 2.5, 3 years, of caffeine, theophylline, and theobromine, which are uniquely contained in mate, which results to a large degree a part of mate's euphoric feelings, mate's soothing feelings of the nervous system. And my theory is that those three unique chemicals, combined with the abundance of minerals, vitamins, proteins, flavonoids, and endless other great minerals and nutrients that are in mate, some of which we probably haven't even discovered yet, account for mate's ability to work on the autonomic nervous system. What that basically means is that mate balances your system. I don't even think that you can compare the caffeine in coffee and the caffeine in mate. Why is this? Because you could do a simple experiment that'll prove to you, to yourself finally, that the caffeine works differently in mate than it does in coffee. And that makes sense, because if you take one thing and isolate it, one alkaloid and isolate it and concentrate it, then it becomes something entirely different than if you were to leave it in the environment with the other hundreds of chemicals, other hundreds of minerals, other hundreds of compounds and atoms in its natural state. So you can't compare the caffeine that's in coffee to the caffeine in anything else, let alone mate. Now, this is the simple experiment to prove the difference. Drink a cup of coffee. Okay, you're going to feel that rush in cognition. 15 minutes, boom, you're going to have that rush for 15 minutes. Your memory is going to be boosted. Your heart rate will be increased. Your awareness will be increased. Your sensitivity will be increased. You know, caffeine does this. It's been proven to, have a cognitive boost for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then you got a downcline. It declines. Do that. Drink 10 cups of coffee, and you'll see that after those 10 cups of coffee, you're totally wired. You're just totally beat up. You've overexcited your nerves. You've literally overexcited your nerves to the point where they're exhausted, to the point where you're exhausted, to the point where your mind has been racing like a roller coaster up and down after 10 cups. So let's say after those 10 cups, or let's just say, no, not 10 cups. Let's say after 3 or 4 cups, you're going to feel like that. Now, how could you compare that to mate? Because mate, you're not drinking it by the cup. You're drinking it by this gourd, and you're drinking it in rapid succession. So conceivably, you could be ingesting upwards of 1,000 milligrams of caffeine every single time you drink a round of mate. 1,000 milligrams. So you've ingested 1,000 milligrams of caffeine after, 30 minutes of drinking of mate. And how do you feel? How do you feel after drinking 10 or 15 of these? You don't feel crazy, you feel good. You feel smooth as butter. You feel clear. You feel euphoric. Your body is in a state of calm, repose, and ease. You're able to do work. Your nerves have not been overexcited. That's the experiment. Drink 10, 15, 20 mates out of a standard size gourd, and you will conceivably have ingested 1,000, let's say at least 1,000 milligrams of caffeine. Now do the same experiment with coffee. After 1,000 milligrams of caffeine in coffee, you're going to be fried, you're going to be wired, you're going to be like, Jesus goddamn, I just feel like garbage, I got to go take a nap. I can't even take a nap, I'm just fried, I can't do anything, I can't work, I can't get up, this is disgusting. I just ingested 1,000 milligrams of caffeine from coffee. That's the simple experiment.